Welcome to another exciting episode of Comma Convos podcast. Happy Wednesday. I am your host, Dricka M. And on our podcast, we interview people who are winning in their industry, artists, CEOs, and entrepreneurs, talk about their successes and their struggles in their entrepreneurship journey. All right, today we have a guest co-host. Her name is Lilias John. She is known as your financial stylist. Go ahead and introduce yourself to our listeners.
All right. So hello, everyone. And Dricka, thank you so much for having me. My name is Lilias John, your financial stylist. I teach personal finance from a biblical perspective so you can learn to manage your money God's way.
I love it. I love it. So Lilias is here to talk about her own journey and also the importance of faith and finance and why so many entrepreneurs quit too soon before they've even seen the full fruits of their efforts, right? Or the fruits of their labor. So
Yeah.
go ahead and I'm excited. So if you are a business owner who's ready to take control of your financial destiny, you are looking for insights in how faith and finances intersect with each other. So this is an exciting episode to get into. Make sure you share, make sure you let your friends and your peers know about this episode. They can watch it on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, or listen on their favorite podcast platforms such as Apple, iHeartRadio, or Spotify. Go ahead and let's get into the first. Well, talk about you first of all. Like, how did you get into this space, right? Like,
Yeah.
did you come from a corporate world? Do you still work a 9 to 5? How did you get into being your financial stylist? I love the name, girl, by
Yeah.
the way.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So actually, one of my clients gave me that name a
Hmm.
long time ago. And they were like, you like fashion and style, but you teach people about money. You're kind of like a financial stylist. And I was like, you know what? I like it. Let's keep it. So my background is actually in real estate. I've been in the real estate industry for 20 years.
Okay.
Um, I started as a property manager. I worked for a developer in New York City, which is where I'm originally from, born and raised,
Mhm.
Brooklyn, in the house.
In the house, I see you.
Yes. And after just working on different development projects for like 3 years, I went to grad school. I got my master's in real estate development, and then I started doing consulting, like real estate consulting,
Okay.
for Fortune 500 companies that wanted to build out new office space. And so I ended up, or hotel space. So I ended up doing like I built out the space that Converse now has as their design studio in Manhattan in the Flatiron district. I did 2 hotel projects in Boston, one for the W and one for the West End. I did a ballroom project. I did some guest rooms. So I spent a lot of time just like in project management consulting. Then I went into institutional real estate. So I started working for a university in New York that was expanding. And that's how I got started in really teaching financial education. I had already personally dealt with my own financial stuff, right? Like I blew
As we
six,
all do.
right? That's how we get here. I blew $60,000 of an inheritance when I was 19. Felt like it was $1 million. Like I felt
Right.
like I had done the most terrible thing in the world. And in the process of like figuring out how to rebuild that money, I'm like, I have to rebuild it. Like I can't just let it go to naught. I spent a lot of it on sneakers and bottles and just foolishness. Um, and I had cleaned up my own financial life and was like helping my family and friends, but I definitely didn't have like a business where I was helping anybody else. So when I started working for this university, I would go to like their public meetings, like their community meetings, their council meetings, and everybody hated that university. They were expanding into a predominantly Black and brown community, and people were upset. They're like, this is gentrification. The prices are going to go up. We're going to get displaced. And my kid will never get into your university because I live in the projects.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, like if they knew and understood like how financial literacy could help free them from feeling like the victim
Mm-hmm.
and put things in place for themselves where they could make different decisions. They could team up with everybody in their building and probably buy the building, before it gets snatched from under them if they're so if this is what their concern is. So I was working for the university by day, being a part of the problem, right? And on the
Mm-hmm.
weekends, I started teaching financial literacy in secret to the community.
Nice.
Yeah, and so I was doing it under a pseudonym, under a pen name, because I'm like, my name is already affiliated with the project. They've seen me. If I teach in my real name, they're not going to trust me. They're not gonna come. And so I did that for like 6, 7 years. I was teaching secretly under a different name.
Right.
um, just so that people would come and they would hear. And it wasn't as a business. It was just
Mm-hmm.
me, like off the strength of the community. Like, this is what I want to do. I want to help as many people as possible. So people came from that neighborhood. I did a 10-month program with them. They would come once a month for 4 hours. And by the end of that, I mean, there were people who got out of debt. There were people who saved money for the first time, people who invested for the first time. And by the end, none of them were worried about what the university was doing.
Right.
They were like, I'm moving to Jersey, or I'm moving upstate New York. One of my clients bought a co-op upstate. Like, they weren't worried about it anymore. And so
Mm-hmm.
I just started teaching any place that would let me come in and teach. Alternative high schools, foster care, the Department of Probation, Boys and Girls Club, anywhere that would let me, I would go in and teach. And I did it for free. Like, I just want to serve. So that's how I got started.
That's amazing. That's really, really amazing. So, like typically for entrepreneurs, faith and foundation, faith is the foundational part of, their lives, but that's on the personal side, right? How did you manage to integrate those two together? And what advice would you give anybody trying to make that pivot of like putting your personal faith and mixing it with your business and
Yeah.
also your purpose of finances?
So at that time, when I first started, it was not faith and finance. I was just teaching pure financial education.
Mm-hmm.
It was this year, 2024, that I started mixing faith and finance together.
Mm-hmm.
And I've realized, you grow and you're like, wait a minute, everything that I teach about personal finance can be traced back to a Bible principle.
Yes.
What if this year I start to bring that out and tell people, listen, budgeting is biblical. Investing is biblical. Diversifying your investments is biblical. Saving is biblical.
Yes,
Being
it
a
is.
good manager over your money is biblical. Like,
A good steward.
everything,
Yes.
yeah, everything I've ever taught traces back to a Bible principle. I want to highlight that. So I just kind of tested it out. I started in January saying, you know what, every Sunday I'm going to share a financial principle, and the biblical principle it traces back to. And I did that every Sunday for 3 months, and they did terrible. I mean, it was awful. I could post something during the week and it would go to like 10,000, twenty
Hmm.
thousand, 30,000. I would post about a Bible principle on Sunday and it would go to like 6 people. And I went to the Lord and I said, you know what, Lord, I've been doing this for 3 months. I really feel like this is what you want me to share. I think you want me to point people to the fact that everything they think they know about money really stems from you.
Hmm.
And I said, if this is what you want me to do, Lord, I need some people to come along and like it. Like, cause
Support
this,
me.
cause
Let
this
me
is
know I
messing
have a
up my
child.
algorithm, Lord. Like, this is messing up my algorithm on Sundays. And I did that one like the first week of April. And I posted something and it was super simple. It was just like how knowing what the Bible says about money will change your perspective. And
Hmm.
and it went viral. It went viral, and like 2 million people viral. And I was like,
Wow.
"Okay, Lord, I hear you loud and clear. Yep."
That was the one. Right.
Yep.
This was the right move.
I will keep going. So, intersecting faith and finance for me, it wasn't like, it was really because I'm like, "Oh, I see it. If I see it, I'd like to point it out to somebody else." And I just kind of did it. No, but for me, faith has been an integral part of my life for a lot of years anyway. And I'm not afraid to tell people I'm a Christian. I'm not afraid to
Right. You
let them
shouldn't be.
understand that, like, the way I live my life is based on Bible principles. I look at the world through a biblical worldview first and foremost,
Hmm.
like, and it's hard because a lot of people will be like, well, what about this? Or what about that? What about race? What about, and I'm like, no, I'm a Christian. Even though you can see my skin color first, I'm a Christian first.
Right.
Then everything else follows. So I just did it. I mean, kind of just took the leap and it has worked.
So, like, what tips would you give somebody that has done something similar to you, or fallen on hard times, or fallen on hardships, and they need to start back budgeting, saving, investing, or if they got like your story, similarly, they had an inheritance and they blew through it at a young age, or they didn't value it, or they didn't understand money management. What tips would you give
Mm.
them typically?
Yeah, so the first thing I think, especially now that I'm teaching money from the Bible perspective, I think people really need to understand that your management of your money starts in your heart and your mind before it hits your wallet. So if you haven't conquered what you believe about money, what you think the purpose of money is, how you're supposed to use money. If you haven't conquered that, it doesn't matter how much money is in your wallet, you are not going to be able to manage it well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to understand money is a tool, it's a resource that we can use. And I taught that for years. And then you realize like, oh wait, that's what God said too. Like, hold on. It's a tool. It's not supposed to define you. It doesn't make you who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Having more doesn't make you greater. You realize like, what do I want this tool to do for me and for others? You know? And then it comes down to discipline. A lot of people don't have the discipline when it comes to their money. So
Yep.
they don't have the right thoughts about it, but they also don't have the discipline. And sometimes it's because of things like like their financial history, meaning like, what did they see their parents do with money? Did was money talked about at home?
Right.
Did they see people make bad decisions
With
and
money.
with
Live
money,
paycheck to
and then
paycheck.
yeah, and then just kind of like sweep it under the rug, like that's how
Mm-hmm.
everybody lives.
Mm-hmm.
Like they make these assumptions that make them believe they can't do any better. So the first thing they need to understand is you can do better with money. Every one of us can do better with money. Even those of us who teach money for a living, we're not immune to mistakes. We're
Mm-hmm.
not immune to having a bad financial decision that you're like, man, the consequences of that are going to bite
Right.
me in the butt, you know? But they've got to start with forgiving themselves. That's first and foremost, because a lot of people have a lot of shame about money decisions or money
Mm-hmm.
in general, right?
Or
And it
even talking about money.
yeah, and it's both sides. There are people who
Mm-hmm.
have shame who don't have money, and there are people who carry
Mm-hmm.
shame who do have money,
I
and
was
they
just about to
feel
say
like
that.
they
Yeah.
don't, they shouldn't have money. Like, and that is not biblical. Like, that's one of the number one things I like to address. Like, especially Christians, especially Black Christians, we are led to believe that money is not good, that if
Money
we
is the root of all evil.
right. But that's not actually what the Bible
It's not what it
says,
says.
right? It says the love of
Love of
money.
money. Mm-hmm.
That's right. It's the love of money that's the root to all evil. So there's a lot that we just have to like throw away
Unpack.
and
Mm-hmm.
start
Unlearn to
over.
relearn.
Unlearn to relearn, for sure.
Such valuable insights. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Those who have already made those types of mistakes, and you gave them some practical steps, get disciplined, ask for help. Like, we have people
Hmm.
that help you. Look at your financial stylist. She's here to teach you and coach you on money management and budgeting and investing. Even if in the past you've made certain mistakes that have led you to, fall back into old habits, right? Living
Yeah.
paycheck to paycheck, working two jobs, being not profitable in your business. All of those things can certainly trigger money traumas, right? And a
Yeah.
lot of times, like you said, for adults, it that money trauma transfers down to the kids, whether it's
Hmm.
bad spending habits or going through bankruptcy or credit card debt or gambling or whatever the case may be, right? Using paying silly APR rates on stuff like
Hmm.
Klarna or Afterpay.
Yeah. Yep.
right? Like
Yep.
do you really need that if you need to
Mm-hmm.
pay Afterpay? Or do you really need that if you need to pay Klarna, right? Look at those back end rates, read those the fine prints. And a lot of times we just look for that instant gratification and put the buyer's remorse to the back end versus saying, you know what, I need to think about the five rule. Is it going to matter in 5 months, 5 minutes, 5 years? Like, is it going to matter? Am I going to pick it up? I look at everything when I'm trying to purchase something like Christmas, right? And you know how you
Mm-hmm.
have little kids for Christmas. And I'm saying this because Christmas is coming up, right?
Yep.
And a lot of times
Mm-hmm.
money stress comes around the holiday times, even if you do have money. Because now it's
Yes.
like, okay, if I have money, my circle has money, what am I to buy somebody that has everything or access
Yeah.
to everything, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
still money, transparent. Being transparent, there's money issues and stress on every level.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was saying is when it's Christmas time, parents typically say, okay, well, I want to get everything on my child's Christmas list. Whereas when the child opens those Christmas gifts, there's going to be probably one to two significant things that they're going to continuously play with, or that's going to matter in 5 minutes, 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months, 5 years from now, right?
Yeah.
So think about that. Are you throwing money away on Christmas gifts just to say I got my kid a bunch of things, or are you thinking about their future and investing and planning and setting up 529 plans for them to go to college, or setting up a LLC and getting a business going, adding them to their credit cards and getting them some credit established before they make 18, right? Setting up personal savings and checking accounts or CD accounts for them that are going to gain interest or things of that nature. Like, what are you doing versus letting them unwrap a gift,
Yeah.
right?
And the biggest thing for this year, I'm doing a savings challenge with my community
Mm-hmm.
so that they can survive Christmas 2024 debt free. Because right now, there
I
are
like that.
people who are still paying off holiday debt from 2023. There was an article about that today on CSNBC. So, um, people need to know like people go into debt for the holidays and
They
you
do.
don't need to. You
One
don't
of the
need
things I
to.
do typically for the holidays, well, throughout the year to plan for the holidays, is I do a Christmas club account.
Mm-hmm.
Most credit unions have Christmas club accounts. So, I mean, that significantly has changed how much I spend and
Yep.
also how I look at Christmas gifts. Because I used to like literally write down everybody's names and
Mm-hmm.
their kids, and like even if it's something small, a little trinket that they got, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had everybody. We had to purchase the whole family some gifts and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I got a lot of nieces and nephews. I got a lot of cousins. It's just me and my brother, but we're both married. All have
Mm-hmm.
kids, right? And then I have two brother-in-laws, their wives,
Yeah.
their
Mm-hmm.
kids, my
Mm-hmm.
mother-in-law. It can go on and on and on. My parents, my children, so it can go on and on and on. But a couple of years ago, what my brother-in-law brought to the table was we're not buying gifts for our nieces and nephews anymore. What we're gonna do is let them pick where we're going to volunteer our services, whether it's the kids
Oh,
pick feed the
nice.
homeless or
Yeah.
go to children's hospital and read to the kids. Like we can pick certain charities to kind of give back versus buying a whole bunch of gifts. Not saying that we
Yeah.
don't buy them anything, but we prefer to put, money into something like that. And
That's
also
really
time
good.
and effort into something like that. And also it
Mm-hmm.
makes the kids have a different mindset of, man, I'm grateful I don't have to be homeless. I'm grateful I don't have to
Mm-hmm.
be in the hospital. The things that naturally as adults we take for granted, right?
That's
Like
right.
and it's I think a lot of times we think about things of, oh, the lights went out, it's poverty, right? But
Mm-hmm.
we could be so busy that we forget to pay the light bill.
Yes,
Everybody's
it's
not
just the
living on
truth.
autopilot, right? So we
Yeah.
can be so realistic to say, oh my God, like it's happened to me before. Like I come home like, dang, the lights off. Okay, let me get on my phone, boop, 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 play the light bill. But even being fortunate enough to do that, everybody's not fortunate. Like somebody can come
True.
home and flip their light switch and it's off and they don't know what they're going to do, right? So
Yeah.
giving that gratitude and also letting them see, both sides of it. Like, yeah, we have money, but we forget to do stuff too. So gotta be, stay on top of your stuff, managing your time, managing your family, managing your finances, and then that all goes back to being grounded in faith, right?
Yes, yes,
It really
yes.
does.
100%. I love that idea that y'all are doing for the holidays. We did, and it's actually my boss who thought of the idea, and I was like, man, I might implement that at home.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of buying each kid like in each family a gift, we buy one family gift. So like
Oh, okay.
last year we bought like our friends, we bought them like a table tennis, like a mini one though,
Like a
not a
family
full
game.
size. Yeah,
Yeah.
like a family game, something that they could do together, you
Mm-hmm.
know. I'll tell you
That's
what,
good
one of
too, because
my
it
yeah,
can enforce family time. Because so many
family
times
time.
family goes, your kids at school 8 hours a day. Then they get home, they scramble to eat, you do dinner,
Mhm.
you maybe talking, passing, and then back on their phone or back in their devices or whatever the case may be. So
Yep.
that's good too. Like a lot of times we do Taco Tuesday,
Yeah,
we'll
we
do
do that
like
too.
make homemade pizza or do a movie night and we all like literally come sit in the living room, phones down, watch TV together,
Yeah.
or talk about different things or do like game nights. We have a room in our house, so we'll do game nights, shoot pool, play board game,
Yeah.
and do
Yeah.
different things like that. But like always remembering to take the cyber hat off. Like, hey, put the phone
Yes.
down. Like,
Yes.
tell your friends you're gonna call them back. Let's,
Yeah.
decompress and talk to the people in our house.
Yeah. You know what my kids' favorite thing to do during the holidays, and we started this like gotta be 10 years ago now.
Hmm.
We take them to the dollar store and we give them each a budget. It's like 25, $30.
Hmm.
And we let them buy gifts for each other.
I like that.
They care about that more than whatever they asked us to buy them for Christmas because
Hmm.
they want to see what
What the
their
other person
sibling
got.
thought of
Hmm.
them, right?
Yes,
To get them, even though it's a $5 gift, they open those first
that is
every
so
year.
amazing.
Yeah. So to me, I'm like, well, like same thing, kind of for us doing the savings challenge, it's similar to the Christmas club. We're just not doing it all year. I started 15 weeks before Christmas and you do whatever
Okay.
amount you want every Friday up until Black Friday. And
Okay.
I'll be honest, I've already started buying gifts, so I'm already tapping into mine because I
Hmm.
was like, oh, I
Yeah, I
saw
start around
something.
like August, but my
Yeah.
Christmas club money comes in like the end of October all the time.
Okay.
So, I mean, we have from January, well, we have really from November all the way to the next October to get
Mm-hmm.
that up. So, I mean, you can do weekly, you can add to it, but you can't take from it.
Right.
So
You
that's
can't
the
take
thing
from
I
it.
do like about the Christmas club. If we just using our regular checking and savings, we can keep transferring back and forth, but
Yeah.
Christmas club, once it's there,
That's
it's as
it.
good as gone until Christmas club time. So I mean, I like that, and I like CDs as well because you cannot touch the money
Yep.
with penalty. So like just thinking about those additional things. If you know, like right now, tax time is coming. That's a tip that I
Mm-hmm.
give everybody. Tax time is coming. Put some of that money on the side to a CD.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna give you 6 months
Mm-hmm.
or 12 months, whatever one you choose, or do a Christmas club and you take a
Mm-hmm.
chunk of your tax money, put it in your
Mm-hmm.
Christmas club savings account, and then also at your job transfer a recurring amount. It can be as little as $20. If you do $20 for the entire year, you're gonna come out with at least about $600
Yeah.
just Christmas money to spare. And then if your kids are getting older, you're not buying a whole bunch of things. You know what
That's
I'm saying?
it.
Like kids, you buy like little kids 8, 9, 10, and under, you're buying trinkets. You're buying a whole bunch of
Mm-hmm.
gadgets and things for them to play with if they actually even play at that age, right? Because once they get a phone, toys is
That's it.
obsolete,
Right. That's
right?
it.
So
They want Robux.
once they get a phone, I mean, it's the dollar store treat. Toys not gonna work no more. The
No.
Walmart line is not gonna work anymore, so you gotta figure out, okay, they're gonna want the latest iPhone or iPad or Beats headphones and things of that nature. So it could get expensive. So you might think about things like that, like trying to save ahead of time versus being stressed about holiday time. So that's, I mean, our tips, me and Lydia's tips
Yeah.
about saving and budgeting for the holidays.
Another thing people can consider, which I do with my kids, is they know they're not getting everything at Christmas. So we also give them gifts at the end of the school year.
Mm-hmm.
So there might be something that they know they really, really want for Christmas, but there might be something else that they're working to earn. at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the school year. So that's another way that parents could break it up too. It's kind of like you give yourself two Christmases, or you
Yes.
cut Christmas in half, you know, and they seem to like that. They seem to like that too.
Yeah, because now they're not waiting all year, you know?
Hmm.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so quick question. One of the things you talked about, or well, one of the things you're passionate about is helping entrepreneurs create sustainable revenue plans. What are some warning signs that someone may be about to quit too soon, or what can they do to prevent getting burnt out and quitting too soon?
Yeah. So I'll just share my personal experience. I quit
Mm-hmm.
my job with no revenue plan. I was like, oh, I have this business now. So I went 7 years of not having a business, just helping people off the strength, want to serve. 2014, I was like, okay, I'm going to make this a business now, and this is going to be great. And I quit in 2015. And I was like, oh, wait,
Wait, I don't have. Wait, it's just
the
me.
it doesn't, the money just don't roll in because I've made the announcement that I'm open for business. What?
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know and I saved 100,000 before I quit. I was like, that I need, like, this is the number I need. So I
Okay,
think one of the
boom. So how did you save 100,000? Because that's gonna be
okay.
like somebody is listening, like you saved 100,000. I can't
All
even
right,
get
so
to
I'm gonna tell you how that happened. There used to be, in like 2012, 2013, there was this thing called the $1 a week savings challenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, save $1 a week based on the week it is, and then you'll save $1,300 by the end of the year. And I was like, this is crap, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I know the person who started the challenge. It is no shade to her, but I'm like, we can do better. So
Mm-hmm.
I picked an arbitrary number. I said, I'm gonna save $1,000. I had no idea how I was gonna save the $1,000,
Mm-hmm.
but I
Because
was like,
now you're
this
an
is what I'm gonna
entrepreneur.
do.
Oh, well, you still was working at that time, right?
I was
Okay,
still working
so
at that time. So
okay.
I'm like, I'm gonna save $1,000 a month, and I'm gonna use it when I get to this $100,000. I'm gonna quit my job. So I started it maybe like two or 3 years before. I had to make changes in my life in order to save the $1,000,
Talk about it.
right?
Yes.
So I had to downsize my living. And I was married. I went to my husband and was like, we should move somewhere else. Our rent is about to go up, and we need to save that money. We don't need to give that money away. He was on board. So we moved to a smaller apartment. We had 4 kids at the time. They all of them were sharing one room, but we did it to save more money. So that
Yeah.
saved us, I think, maybe like $500.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're like, dang, I got to find $500 more in order to meet this goal I set for myself. Well, we
Mm-hmm.
had 2 cars at the time. One car was paid off. And I'm like, the car that's paid off, let's park it up. We live in New York City. We don't both need to be driving around and wasting gas. So I parked up my car and took the insurance off of it. And the money that we saved from the insurance, we put towards the pot. All right, now we at 650.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I need $400 more, 350
Mm-hmm.
more. How are we gonna get there? My daughter at the time, she was in private school. I'm like, yo, she's about to be 4. She could go to pre-K. Pre-K is free in New York. So we took her out of private school,
Mm-hmm.
$750 saved per month.
Hmm.
So we added that to it. Now we're at 1350. And I'm like, what else can we do?
Mm-hmm.
What else can we cut? I think we cut cable. Like,
I
we
cut
were
cable
like,
too.
we gonna find it. And by the time we turned around, we weren't saving $1,000 a month. We were saving 2,000. And so we took the 2,000, instead of putting it in a savings account or a high yield savings, we put it straight into the stock market. Now that's not necessarily something I would recommend somebody do today,
Right.
but we did it and it worked, right? So we saved $2,000 a month for 36 months. We ended up putting about $48,000 cash into the market, but our investments were bringing back yields of 20 to 23%, which
Mm-hmm.
is how we were able to have 100K in 3 years.
That
So
is
that's
amazing.
how we did it. And when we hit the 100K, I quit, which I would not do again, right? Because you
Mm-hmm.
need, one, having a number, absolutely. You need to have your quit number.
Mm-hmm.
What amount of money do I need to have saved that I feel comfortable and
Right.
ready to quit? That's one. But that's only one piece. you also have to have a plan of how you're going to make money in your
Mm-hmm.
business. And you
Mm-hmm.
have to prove that income
You can make money. Mm-hmm.
repeatedly before you can really quit, right? Like some people say you should make sure that your business is making at least half of your job income before you quit, right? And then you figure out how to scale it from there. Other
Mm-hmm.
people say you should get you want it to make like 75% of your income before you are ready to quit. And that could take time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it could take you 1 to 3 years to scale up a business to the point where it's replacing 50 to 75% of your income. But you
Right.
have to have a plan on that level. And you've got to figure out like, what are the things that help my business make money on repeat? Is it that I need to spend money on ads? Is it that I need to go to more speaking engagements? Is it that like where are the funnels that bring you the people that bring you the income? You know, so making sure people don't quit too soon is a big one. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, but they don't realize entrepreneur life is brutal. It is brutal financially if you're not
It's risk.
ready.
I call it risky yet rewarding. That's how I put
Yeah.
it. It's risky,
Yeah.
but it's rewarding. Like I just was telling somebody last night, I went to a Women Leadership Academy workshop at
Mhm.
Loyola University, and my friend taught the class. It was on
Mhm.
networking, and we were just talking about like the different things we do and just making these connections. Like us, we met at FinCon, and then we started
Yeah.
following each other, and now we're here. But like, it's risky, right? You're going out here to these events, you're going out here,
Mhm.
you're networking, you're collaborating with people, you're interested in what they do, or they're interested in what you do, right? The
Mhm.
risk could be, are they going to deliver on
Yeah.
what it is that I'm looking for? Or am I, a lot of people suffer with imposter syndrome. Am I adequate enough
Mhm.
to be the person to tell people about money? Like, who am I to tell somebody about money just because it worked for me? Or, like you said, once you realize your business is repeatedly making enough money or your former salary, then like similar to you, my story was I didn't save 100,000. I saved like 6 months of expenses. And at the time when
Mhm.
I saved, I didn't have an office. So there wasn't like any overhead. I didn't have employees. I wasn't really paying myself. I just knew that I love to do taxes. I still
Mhm.
was doing taxes at home and all of those things. But in 2018, I was able to make the full-time leap and say, by the end of 2018, I was able to be in a suite, right? Going
Nice.
into the new season. So from staying home 7 to 8 months and like hustling and figuring it out, to go on top of what I had saved, I was able to go in and say I got a suite now. And from the
Mhm.
suite that season, I was able to go into a 900 square foot building that I still
Nice.
have to this day, right? 5, 6 years later, I still have that same building and, another building as well. But I had a
Mhm.
plan.
Yeah.
I went into it with a plan of it's just me now, but I know I can make $60,000, which was my salary at the time at the corporate job. If I could make
Mhm.
$60,000 on the side as a side hustle, I could replace this. So whether I quit or get fired, it doesn't matter. I still made $60,000. So if I made,
Yeah.
and like you said, $60,000 is a lot of money. I was in my 20s at this.
Yeah.
So guess what? It's a lot of money. I'm sitting pretty with $60,000, a little bit of
Mhm.
kid, so she don't really need much. I had a
Mhm.
husband, like I was straight. Like I got $60,000. I'm not worrying about what y'all talking about. Right? You could get sporty if you got 60K. Like,
Yeah, for
so
real.
that was like my story of like leaving a job and really saying, okay, I don't have a plan B. What am I gonna do? So I cooked plates, I opened a restaurant, I did a whole bunch of things
Girl,
just
what?
of like, transitioning out of corporate. I did a bunch of
Yeah.
things and then I retracted from certain things that I no longer wanted to do, no matter if the money was there or not. Right. So I kind of figured out, okay, I don't want to do this, or this is working me too much, or this is pulling me in too many directions. Whereas now
Yeah.
I can focus on what I'm passionate about and like helping entrepreneurs and helping them understand finances and taxes and becoming bankable and building their business and be getting funded. Like those are the
Yeah.
things that we lack knowledge on a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people say they don't have resources. There's resources. There's free information all over.
Mhm.
And you got to get, from behind Google. Google is not the end all be all. Sometimes you have
Yeah.
to pay to play. Sometimes you got to purchase the books, and not just purchase the book, read the book, right? Like
Read the
join a book
book.
club.
Mhm.
Join a book club, ask the questions. Don't get in the rooms. Like last night I was in, and it wasn't even a big room. I think 40 people registered, but maybe 27-ish showed up because it was
Mhm.
raining. Granted, it was
Mhm.
raining and everything, but really great workshop and focused
Mhm.
on networking. Like literally put your phone down. Don't scroll and listen. Don't try to multitask. Talk to the person next to you. Go to another table. Like literally telling you step by step how to network, which I
Yeah.
mean, I know how to network. Of course, we go to networking events and I host events all the time. So I know how to, work the room and be sociable. But as a new business owner,
It's
people
a
shy
different
away
ball
from that,
game.
or
Yeah.
they know how to navigate. And one of the things that stuck out is basically they know how to navigate in the corporate space, but not when they have to show up for themselves. It's like,
Yes,
and we
that's
talked about
true.
it in a group message too, like
Yeah.
showing up as yourself and for yourself and representing your company is a
Yeah.
different thing from just showing up with a badge on for an employer,
For
and you
yeah,
gotta
for
listen to
somebody.
some
Yeah.
stuff, right? You gotta just
Mhm.
listen to some stuff, maybe talk to a coworker about it later. It doesn't
Mhm.
probably even affect you, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying,
Yep.
or your day-to-day work, but you showing up at a networking space for your business and for your brand or your personal brand that you're trying to build makes
It's a
all the
whole different
difference.
ball game. It does.
Hmm.
And you're usually, when you go into those spaces on behalf of your corporate job, you're showing up with the messaging that they've already given you. Someone else has already done the work to figure
Yep.
out what the right messaging is that you need to communicate in your business. You're figuring that out as you go. Like
Hmm.
everybody doesn't have, you're going to revise that business plan so many times.
Yes.
That
As
marketing
you, but
plan
you
so
should
many
though.
times.
You really
Yeah.
should. It's a living, growing document.
Yeah. Until you figure out like uh what works, and you're like, all right, this is the method we're using. This is the message. I love, even so, Elena from the Organized Money, like she
Hmm.
talks about exactly what you were just talking about, like how there are phases of entrepreneurship, right? Like everybody doesn't just leave cold and jump.
Hmm.
Some people side hustle while they're figuring out their job. Some people are working part-time. Some people are freelancing,
Yep.
before you. Some people go to make the leap cold like I did. But, for everybody, it's not a one, entrepreneurship is not a one solution thing, right? You've got to figure out how to make it work for you. And then you got to figure out what kind of entrepreneur you want to be,
Oh,
right?
yes, good.
Do you want to be the lifestyle entrepreneur where you're like, I'm doing this so that I can replace my income, not have to get up and go to anybody's office if I don't want to,
Hmm.
feed my family, pay all my bills, and take a few vacations? Like, what's your definition of entrepreneurship? Or are you trying to build a corporation? Because they're two different people and
Yep.
requires two different type of skills, like, because then you end up managing people, and you almost end up creating a job for yourself.
Hmm.
So you got to decide, do you want to own a job? Do you want to own a business? Do you want it to be a business that you don't have to participate in? you
Yeah,
know
that's where I'm at right now.
yeah. Yeah, but I'm sure, like, so you've grown a lot over the
A lot.
last couple of years. So how many
Hmm.
people do the same thing that you're doing? Because you've duplicated yourself in your
So I
business.
have on staff at my accounting firm, I have 18 people.
Yeah, girl.
And then I have on staff at my tax brokerage, it's me and three others. And so, of course, me and my husband manage that, and then everything else is managed by systems, and then our personal assistants kind of dabble across the different industries that we're in. But like just managing me and my thoughts and the things that I come up with on a daily basis, I know they like, ma'am, ma'am. And they like, I'm sending them stuff like, hey, I gotta go here. Make sure you put this on my calendar. Make sure you remind me of this. And I'm trying to show up for people and then still, and it's the end of the year. So like typically at the
Yeah.
end of the year, they're used to being slow at the end of the year. But what happened was I took off like kinda in Q3. And so it's
Mm-hmm.
like I came into Q4 and they're like, Miss Dricka, we normally like we chilling right now going into and I'm like, nope. we up and at it. We got a meeting. I'm literally about to get off here, off this podcast, and do a meeting with my team as well. So it's like
Yeah.
the wheels turning. We got a new location and, other things going on as well. But that's real talk. So many people
Yeah.
like throw in the towel and quit sooner than they
Hmm.
think to success. And I don't want to hold you too long. I know you have another engagement as well, but we like to play a quick game here
Okay.
at Comma Convos podcast. And what we're gonna do is called this or that. I'll give you two options related to faith and finance, and
Okay.
you'll tell us which resonates with you more. All right?
Okay.
You
Okay.
only can choose one.
Oh gosh.
You
Okay.
can only choose one. All right? It's really quick. So you gotta be like,
Okay.
all right. You ready?
Yes.
Giving back or saving up?
Give him
Tithing consistently or emergency fund?
hasn't consistently
Faith-based budgeting or traditional budgeting?
faith-based budgeting.
Investing in education or starting a business?
Investing in education.
Oh, that's big.
Yeah.
Taking a leap of faith or planning out every detail?
Ooh, leap of faith for the win.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for joining us. Your wisdom,
Yes,
your
thank
faith,
you.
your finance, entrepreneurial journey are so all inspiring. I know our
Thank you.
listeners have gained so much from this conversation between you and I. Before we go, where can
Yes.
our listeners find you online and if they want to connect or learn more?
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram at Your Financial Stylist. That's my main platform. I am on TikTok and Facebook too, but I spend my time on Instagram. I answer questions there. I go live every Monday to answer your money questions. I call it Your Money Mondays,
I
where
like
people can come
that.
in,
I
yeah,
threw
and they
Monday
can,
Mondays on the radio too. That's crazy.
yeah, yeah, so they can ask anything they want to know about faith, finance, credit, any financial topic, real estate too. But that's my main place. And then you can also go to my website, yourfinancialstylist.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much,
Yes,
Lilias. And
thank
to
you.
all our listeners, make sure you subscribe, share this episode, and keep Comma Convos rolling. Keep the combos going up.
Yes.
Catch y'all next time. As always, happy Wednesday, and I want to see you winning and wealthy.
Woohoo. That was awesome.
It really was. Okay, so stop. All right, we are done.
Perfect. Awesome.
All right, so what'll happen is I'll give you a copy
Mhm.
of the recording. We're gonna send you an email once it's all
Okay.
done and uploaded. We'll let you know
Okay.
when it goes live. So it'll go live on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and then all podcast platforms as well.
Okay. When do you publish? Like we
The same
recorded.
day. So it'll be done
Oh,
in
same
like
day.
an hour or two.
Girl, so you got two businesses going and you're doing this? Like, ma'am. Okay, well, I need to interview you. We will set that up so people could understand. Like, you could do all the things. I can show you someone who's doing it. She got a staff of 18 over here, staff of 4 over here, and she's running a podcast, going to events, conference. Ma'am,
Always.
you are your own inspiration. Hello and hi.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right, girl. Well, I look forward to it. I can't wait to hear it. And then I will be in touch with you. I usually do like a monthly interview with somebody.
Okay.
I'm moving them to YouTube so that um, it just has more longevity rather than Instagram. So we'll definitely be in touch with you about that.
Okay, no
I
problem. Let me
see
know. I'm
my,
excited.
my people's just pulled up too. So,
Perfect. Look,
all
perfect
right, girl.
timing.
Perfect timing. Yes. So I will
All
talk to
right.
you soon. All
Okay,
right.
thank you.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.